And welcome back to another devotion. I am Pastor Roy Carlin here at Woodlawn Christian Church in Lake City, Iowa, and this devotion is for Thursday, October 16th of 2025. We are in the book of Acts, and we are in the 25th chapter. Tuesday of this week, we got to chapter 25. Last time, we looked at verses 1 to 5. So today, we're going to pick up at verse 6 and go through 12, which will wrap up the section that the Revised Standard Version calls Paul appeals to the emperor. And he's going to appeal to the emperor here today. And that's really going to seal the deal for Paul's life, the rest of his life. That's going to set everything in motion that continues on with the remainder of Paul's lifetime as we know it, or as we believe it to be from church tradition. There are those that say that Paul got out of Rome and went to Spain, but I don't know that that's true. I kind of go along with the church tradition that says that Paul was executed by Nero in Rome. All right. So with that, let's jump into Acts chapter 25, verses 6 to 12, and then we'll talk about it a little bit, shall we? When he had stayed among them not more than 8 or 10 days, he went down to Caesarea, and the next day he took his seat on the tribunal, and ordered Paul to be brought. And when he had come, the Jews who had gone down from Jerusalem stood about him, bringing against him many serious charges which they could not prove. Paul said in his defense, "Neither against the law of the Jews, nor against the temple, nor against Caesar have I offended at all." But Festus, wishing to do the Jews a favor, said to Paul, "Do you wish to go to Jerusalem and there be tried on these charges before me?" But Paul said, "I am standing before Caesar's tribunal, where I ought to be tried. To the Jews I have done no wrong, as you know very well. If then I am a wrongdoer, and have committed anything for which I deserve to die, I do not seek to escape death, but if there is nothing in their charges against me, no one can give me up to them. I appeal to Caesar." Then Festus, when he had conferred with his council, answered, "You have appealed to Caesar you shall go." And I apologize for my stumbling as I read that. I apologize profusely. So Festus has been kind of confronted by all of this very early on in his governorship. Remember, back in the first verse, it said that he had just gotten to the province, and he'd been there for 3 days when he went up from Caesarea to Jerusalem. As soon as he got there, the Jewish people, or the Jewish leaders, I shouldn't say people kind of remember that, folks. Do not conflate Jewish leaders with the Jewish people. Don't do that. That's how we end up with all this anti-Semitic thinking that people have. Don't do that. Don't go there. Do not be an anti-Semite, ever. The Jews are God's chosen people. If that is a problem, I'm sorry, but that's the Bible. At any rate, with that, he was there 3 days. He went up to Jerusalem. He says, "Hey, when I go back, you come and we'll deal with this." So he's there 8 or 10 days. So if we go with the 10 days, that's 13. Then it says that he was the next day when he returned back to Caesarea is when he sat down to have this audience with Paul and the religious leaders from Jerusalem. So that's 2 weeks. He's only been on the job 2 weeks, and he's having to deal with this nonsense, this backbiting, nitpicking, if you will. It's a little bit like being in any kind of a place where you're managing people. You've always got people backbiting and nitpicking, and always something going on. If you're in management over a group of people, it is people are people, and these people are being people just like people are still today. But at any rate, so he's only been on the gig 2 weeks, just 2 weeks, and maybe not even that. If we go with the 8 days instead of 10 days, he's only there 12 days. But at any rate, the Jewish leaders come out and they lay down all these things that they say Paul did wrong. Remember all the way back to when he was first caught, picked up by the tribune in the temple because they had attacked him. That was all a bunch of nonsense because Paul was trying to make good. He was trying to reestablish himself with the apostles. He had gone through that Nazirite ritual and all of that. So Paul was putting in the effort. But the group of people, whoever they are, whether they're just Jewish people or whether they are people that are members of the way, and I kind of think that there might very well be members of the way that want to stay more true to the Jewish tradition, and that's why they're offended by Paul having this Jewish light, as I keep talking about, bringing people into the new sect, the sect of the way, without having to go through obeying all the law, without one, and most importantly, not having to be circumcised. And that, of course, I had to be circumcised, you should have to be too. People like that too in this world, and it's just people, human personality. Anyway, so Festus hears all of this. I think he's kind of sensing this is a bunch of nonsense, and that there's really nothing there. So he asks Paul, well, should I turn you back over to them and let them try you? And Paul's like, no. I didn't do anything to them. If Paul goes back with them to Jerusalem, he's either going to have a kangaroo court or they're going to kill him on the way back. They've already got these guys laying in wait for Paul. So Paul says, hey, I'm before the emperor. I appeal to Caesar. And that, again, that's his fate. But you got to feel bad for poor Festus here, and it's going to continue on as we go through the next day or two. He's kind of put between a rock and a hard place. And part of what's going on here, too, is he could have just said, this is a bunch of nonsense. You guys get out of here. But because he's new in the gig, perhaps that's part of it, he doesn't want to be upsetting the Jewish leaders because he's got to work with them to keep peace going. And, he doesn't want things to get out of hand there either, because that's not going to look good to him, to the emperor. Rome's not going to like it. Things get out of hand. He just got there. You get a revolt going or something. That's going to be kind of for him as well. Not something he wants to happen. So he's trying to kind of, pacify these guys by doing what he's doing. He's trying to play against both ends, if you will. And that, quite often in life, that just never works out real well. But that's part of what's going on. So with that, we're going to leave you at a cliffhanger, because we're going to come back and pick up with Festus and Paul and see where he goes from here. We know ultimately he goes to Rome. All right, that's what I've got for you today. We're going to cut it a little bit shorter than we have been lately. If you enjoy these devotions, if you gain something from it, please do like and subscribe. Please do come back again. But most of all, remember to be a blessing to someone today, and remember that God loves you. Take care. God bless. See you later. Bye-bye.